All right, guys, welcome to another Q&A. This is a section I do live on my Twitch streams where you guys can submit your questions and we'll talk about it live. Right now, we got some Diablo 4 gameplay footage. I just got back from Blizzcon and I got to play the crap out of the D4 demo. It was amazing. So I'm here to answer any questions you have about Diablo 4, Blizzcon, Diablo 3, just random thoughts and things. It doesn't have to be related to those, but that's the main focus. So if you have a question and you're in chat, you can type exclamation point question space, drop your question, and it'll be cool. It'll be fun. We'll have a good time. So I'm going to get started with the questions. We have a couple people that have already submitted. Okay, the first question we got comes from Demonic Grizz. And Demonic Grizz says, what am I going to be maining in season 19? Man, that's a good question. And I'm having a hard time picking. I think it's between Crusader or Barbarian for me. Whirlwind Barb looks really fun. And I kind of want to do that, but this new Crusader set could be really sick. And there are rumors and people have done number crunches. And it looks like potentially the new buffs to the set that we didn't get to test in PTR could be really, really OP. And it could be a RGK. I haven't done any testing myself. I'm not a numbers guy. I haven't broke down spreadsheets to see exactly how that's going to play out. But if it could RGK, I would love to play Crusader. So I'm going to try to touch base with some of these number guys and see if it's really a thing. And if so, I might start Crusader. It looks beautiful. It's going to be fun. I love Crusader in general. I think it's a great class. Barbarian's so close to me too. It's between those two. It might be a coin flip the night of the season. So we'll have to see, man. We'll have to see. The next question comes from Wolfie Druid, and he says, will Diablo 4 be free like Diablo 3? Diablo 3 is not free. So I'm not sure. Maybe you meant PoE and not Diablo 3. But no, I don't think Diablo 4 is going to be free at all. I think it's going to keep the exact same pricing model that Diablo 3 has. It's going to be like a $60 title that's going to have expansions that you're going to buy. Expansions multiple. They said the word expansions plural. So I'm expecting more than one this time. Like Diablo 3 only got one expansion. The second one was canceled. But I would expect Diablo 4's pricing model to be just like Diablo 3, where it's a purchase title for your vanilla content. They're probably going to have an in-game shop that's going to have cosmetics. They said no purchasable power. They specifically said that at BlizzCon. So to me, that really makes me feel and believe and understand that they can't sell power. They can't sell XP boost. They can't sell max level. They can't sell legendary items or, whatever. So we're probably going to get cosmetics. We'll get cosmetics for like our horses seem to be a big thing in the game. And that's a super cool cosmetic that people are going to want. It's like a mount in World of Warcraft. So I would expect like maybe saddles or armor for your horse, or maybe the horse itself. And then probably armor transmogs, weapon transmogs, spell effects if they're super smart. I think spell effects would be an awesome thing to sell in the store. So that would be my guess for the pricing model. If you guys want to submit a question, exclamation point question space, drop your question in chat. We're taking them live right now. Jay Demodokai says, any thoughts on the other two classes for D4? What is my take or what is my guess? It's really hard to say, man. So we saw some Hunter concept art in the art gallery at BlizzCon, and that Hunter art kind of threw me for a loop because they announced the 2 classes, right? We had, or the 3 classes. We had Barb, Sorceress, and Druid. And then, you know, I was thinking Necro would be one because Necro's a fan favorite. It's an OG Diablo class. It's a pet controlled class, which there aren't any pet controlled classes yet. Some people might consider Druid a pet control since you have 2 companion wolves with you, but that feels pretty weak to me. It did not feel like a pet class in the form that we played it. So if I were to guess, I would say that the classes that we're probably going to get would be Necro is one, and then the other one, you know, the Amazon could be a hunter, it could be a demon hunter, you could call it an Amazon. Like there's a lot of classes they could call it, but it would be a ranged shooting class. So I think that's highly likely. And then Paladin seems to be the other one floating around, and I really like Paladin too. So if we got Amazon and Paladin as the 2 other classes, I definitely think the first expansion we got would have Necro in it. I think Necro has got to be in there. The reason that Necro may not be in there is because I think it did so well with Diablo 3 and it's such a fan favorite. I think it's an easy way to sell boxes. I think it's an easy way to sell expansions. And so that potentially could be a reason that it's not included in the vanilla version of the game. So I think it's going to definitely be Necro, Paladin, or Amazon. It's just which one, I don't know. Whatever one gets excluded, I think would be included in the first expansion. That's my thoughts. Necro is I kind of hope Necro's in there though. If I had to pick, like, what do you want? I would say Necro. For the other 2 classes we don't have, I would say Necro for sure would be one that I want to have in the game. And then for the last one, I personally would like to have a dark. I want new classes. I want things we've never played, you know? So I would love to have something like a dark warrior style, a dark knight, a death knight, some kind of like evilish 2-handed wielding big boy that's going to smash things. But then the game's going to be super melee heavy with only 1 caster class. I don't know. You know, I don't know. So we'll see what we get, man. The next question that we have, it comes from Power Steering. He says, the Druid felt like by far the most polished of all the classes in the demo. Do you think that the level of fluid gameplay is what they're aiming for? More cooldown gated style like Barb had? I feel like they definitely wanted to showcase the fluidity of combat. I think it's definitely cleaner in the demo than it is in D3. And you can see, like in this gameplay footage, the Druid just shape shifting from form to form. I was slightly disappointed that the Druid auto transformed for you. Like, you didn't have to really manage your forms at all. It wasn't like a Druid in WoW where you had to be in that form to cast the ability. It was really just like pick a skill, and then when you hit that skill, you were that class, that shape automatically. It felt really easy to play, but it felt like it might take away a little bit of the depth of playing Druid. So we'll see how that plays out. But I do feel that Druid played the best and was my favorite of the 3 classes, but everybody you talk to has a different opinion. A lot of the streamers, if you talk to them, will pick a different class than Druid. So I think it kind of depends on what you gravitate to in D3. If you're a melee player, you probably would have liked Druid. If you're a caster or a range player, you'd probably like Sorceress. And if you're only a Barb main, you might like Barb the most. I think Barb felt good, but Druid was OP. I liked it a lot. So, next question comes from Demonic Grizz. He's putting me on the spot. He says, "Who's my favorite person that I met at BlizzCon?" Man, if I actually answer that question, I'm going to alienate a lot of people. I will say, I've already met a lot of people before last year at the BlizzCon before, so in 2018. So I'll answer that and say one of the D3 devs, Frankie. I think Frankie was super awesome, man, and he was super nice to me. And super fun to talk to about Diablo 3. So I'll say Frankie because he was new. I had met everybody else before. Put me on the spot, Demonic. Next question is Jade Modokai says, any art shown for the female druids? Also no gender lock classes like D2, correct? Yeah, so I think they did have some druid art. I don't remember specifically any female druids. But I know that they did say that they're gonna allow you to customize your character. So it's gonna be like World of Warcraft, where you're going to pick a race, I guess pick a class in this case, and then you're gonna be able to pick like the color of your skin, the color of your eyes, scars, tattoos, facial features, maybe hairstyle, things like that. So you're definitely going to be able to customize your character quite a bit. What we saw at BlizzCon was just demo. It was like pre-configured, like, okay, we just want to throw things out there so you can see them. You know, so yeah, 100% it's gonna be there. Again, guys, we're doing this live. If you want to submit your question, exclamation point question, space, and drop your question behind. But I'm excited for it. I don't think it's like the coolest feature ever to have customization. I think it's been in so many games for so long that I just kind of expect it, you know? So I'm glad it's finally coming to D4, but it's not something that I'm like pogging out about. Like, I'll make my character once, and really it's the transmogs and the armor that are going to make your character look really badass. So Tim Ladder says, Amazon in D4, am I hype? Yeah, man, I mean, I'm excited for anything new. I just don't want to, you know, like we just talked about classes a little bit ago, but I don't want to fall into the same thing of every class is the same as D3 classes. Like, let's say that we get Necro and Demon Hunter, right? So if the 5 starting classes we get are Druid, Demon Hunter, Necro, Sorceress, and Barb, then out of those 5 classes, we really only have one that's like brand spanking new to us, and that's the Druid. And then if you're a D2 player, then Druid's not even really new to you. You've been playing that, and you know, so I hope they break, you know, they break the mold a little bit and give us a brand new class. I think that would be ideal. Like, give us at least one of the 5 classes. Let's get something we've never played before, and toy around with that. And I know it's probably hard to come up with a new class concept, but I really hope that they can pull that off, man. That would be sick. So the next question comes from the Jesus one. He says, boxers or briefs? I don't wear whitey tighties. I wear like boxer brief hybrids, I guess. So if I had to pick, I'm gonna say boxers, but I wear hybrids, man. Gotta hybrid it up, you know? You know? Zombie Wolf says, D4 being open world mean more than 4 can be going into activity at the same time. So I specifically asked this question to one of the devs, and they actually talked about it too in some of the panels, but the wording that I got was that the game had the ability to scale up dramatically from what we see in the demo. And they didn't say an exact number, but I got a hint that the game engine could handle like 20 or 30 people at the same time. That was kind of like the hint that I got. But they said that they want the game to feel isolated. They want you to feel alone. They want it to feel desolate. They want it to feel like, you know, they want to really give you that sense of like, man, this is really bad. This is a bad scenario. We're in a bad world. We're in a bad place and time. Shit's just horrible. And so if everybody was running around, you wouldn't get that feeling of aloneness and scared and you know, horror, I guess. So they wanted to scale back the amount of people in an area, but for example, the world quest bosses, right? The world bosses. When you run up to a world boss, like as you enter that little area on the map where the world boss is at, they could scale that and have people load into that same little subsection area from what I thought, what it looked like. So whenever I was running around in the world, I would run into like 1 or 2 people, not that many people. But as soon as I started to attack a world boss, it felt like all of a sudden people started showing up, and there was like 10 of us attacking it, or 8 of us attacking it. I don't remember if it was 10 or 8. There was definitely a lot of us attacking this world boss, and it was epic. It felt really, really cool. They did say that party size is limited to 4 people, but again, I think that that could be scalable, so they could potentially put in 6-player, 8-player things. 4 people is okay. I would prefer to have had party sizes a little bit bigger, like 6 to 8 people. I think would have been fun for me personally, but that's just because I like to group and play with people, and the more people I can get in my group, the better it is, the more fun it is, I feel like. So the scalability is really cool. I think that also opens up a lot for PvP. You know, we haven't really touched on PvP hardly at all, and I think that's probably going to be one of the biggest features that D4 has to offer us is PvP. If PvP is done right, man, this game is going to have endless content. Like, imagine if you could log in the game, and instead, like, you're doing PvE, you're grinding rifts, you're grinding dungeons, you're grinding world bosses, whatever you're grinding, right? And then you're just like, man, I'm kind of burned out on this. Let's just go do something else. And then you jump into a PvP zone and you start banging and fighting people. Like, you can spend hours of time doing that, which is like new, unique content every time you do it to you, because it just looks different, right? It's going to be a different scenario every time you play it. So I'm super excited for PvP. And if they can scale up to like have 30 people in a zone, let's say PvP zones are 30 people. I mean, how cool would that be? You know, you have 15 on 15, or I don't know, however they do it. 30 people just going crazy on each other. It'd be fun. It'd be a good time. So. Next question comes from, it did not work. Let's try again. There we go. Drillgore says, what was your favorite feature of 4 that 3 doesn't have? There's a lot of potential in 4 that I think that, you know, 3 didn't have rune words. Diablo 2 does, but 3 didn't have rune words. And I think rune words are a really easy way that they could put content in for a season. They could put content in the game and tweak things really easily without making you get whole new gear sets. They could, the skill tree is another feature that I'm excited is back. And the skill tree was very, very basic in Diablo 4, but I think it was more of just a placeholder to say like, hey, look, we're putting this in the game, and you know, it's going to be there. I really feel like the skill tree is going to get reworked a lot from the final version. So I think those 2 things, man, I think the skill tree, the leveling of your skills, and the rune words, I think all are going to play a huge part in D4's endgame. So I'm excited for that. I think it's going to be cool. I think those are taking us in the right direction, because I think depth is what a lot of people want out of D3. All the veteran players that play Diablo, most of us want more depth. We want more than just go smash monsters to try to get a set bonus, right? More monsters than trying to just get one weapon. We want to be able to like kind of think of our own sets and unique play styles and things that we can make work. And I think PoE is like the extreme depth system, and I think Diablo 3 is like on the very light end of depth. I think Diablo 3 is very noob friendly, and PoE is extremely un-noob friendly. And so I want D4 to be a balance between those. I would like it to be a little bit more in depth, but not, you know, I don't want it to like destroy us like PoE, you know. So next question, if it will work. There we go. TG Darkwing says, is there a necro in D4, and was it looking good? I don't know if there's a necro. The only classes we got to play were Sorcerer, Druid, and Barb. They all felt good. They all looked good. Druid was my favorite by far. If they did put a necro in the game, it would look amazing. But it wasn't in the game. You can see some Sorceress gameplay going on right now. It's pretty cool. It's, you know, felt very wizardish. The legendary item you got made your fireball shoot 3 fireballs instead of 1 fireball. Kind of like multi-shot, like a spread. It was decent. It was fun. But you know, like I said, I think Druid felt the best to me personally. Necro is a class that's got to be in the game at some point, I feel like. So if we don't get it at launch, it'll be there. I would think it would be there in expansion, I hope. You know? Wolvie Druid says, should I do a campaign or adventure starting out on a seasonal character? You should do adventure mode, and you should pretty much just grind greater rifts. I mean, there are some extreme leveling guides that you can follow and methods that you can do to get faster, but as a newer-ish player, I would say if you're asking the question, you're probably a newer-ish player, then just do greater rifts, man. Or Nephilim rifts, sorry. Just go in and start doing rifts and grinding rifts, and all the way to 70. It's easy mode, easy wins. Tim says, what do you think about the darker atmosphere D4? I think it should be darker like D1 was. I think it was pretty dark and gruesome, man. There were guts all over the place. There's a barb skill that you literally stabbed somebody in the face. So if you watch the cinematic trailer, they use blood to bring Lilith back in the cinematic. He chopped the guy in the face with his axe, and he like came back from it and ended up killing him, and they ripped their bones and parts out, and like it's just it's pretty gruesome, man. I don't really know how they could make it much darker without kind of going borderline like, okay, this is too much, you know. So if you guys are interested in darker, like what would you, my question would be to you guys, what would make it even darker? You know, they have dungeons with no lighting, they have blood, they have guts, they have, you know, it looks like very unfriendly, hellish looking atmosphere. We haven't even seen what hell's going to look like. We haven't really seen what any of the bosses besides Lilith are going to look like. So we did get to see the one guy, the one boss that looked like a Venus flytrap and was like sucking the people up inside his body and spitting them back out. Like that was kind of cool looking. But everything looks gruesome, man. Even the world boss had like skulls on his head and stuff. And like, if you go look at a screenshot of the world boss, he has like his face is made up of flesh. It's like muscly flesh. It almost looks like Stranger Things style. So it was pretty cool. But I like it, man. I like the direction they went in. I think they did a perfect balance. I think the game's gruesomeness and darkness will be exactly what we want. I think we'll be happy. So. Etano-ish, I don't know how to say your name, I apologize. It says, around what time do you think it will be released? Carcass, what's up, man? Thank you for the 21 months, dude. Could have used that Twitch Prime on anybody, but you picked me, and I appreciate it, dude. Welcome back. We're doing a Q&A section, guys. Submit your questions, exclamation point, questions, space, and drop your question in. I'm not actively reading chat as much as I normally would during a stream, but we're going to throw this up on YouTube. So I am reading chat. I am taking the questions and answering those live, and then as soon as we're done, we'll switch back. So what do I think about what time Diablo is going to be released? At earliest, a year and a half. So I think if we go a year from now, it's going to be 11 of 2020. I think summer of 21. I think a year and a half will put us in the general time frame. I would think that summer of 21 seems about right. You know, anything over that, and it's going to be like, damn, man, that's so far away. And then anything sooner than that, I'd be afraid the game's getting rushed. So let's hope. Let's hope. Let's hope. Let's hope. All right, the next question. Picker says, why do you think Fluff didn't wear a dress while leveling the Witch Doctor? You know, I need to go back and watch. So if you guys don't know, Lord Fluffy and I do a podcast Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Central, 10 o'clock on the East Coast. And it's called the New Meta Podcast. You can find it on YouTube. You can find it on everywhere you find podcasts, man. Google Play, Spotify, Apple iTunes. And so in the podcast 2 weeks ago, we made a bet. The bet was that they wouldn't talk about Diablo Immortal. They would not talk about Diablo Immortal on the main stage. And I bet that they would not talk about it. Fluff thought they would talk about it. The loser had to level a witch doctor wearing a dress, is what I thought. Now, apparently the wearing a dress part was omitted from the bet. And so I'm going to have to go back and watch the podcast. Those of you guys that watch the podcast, if you go back and find a clip of that section and like can point that out, I will 100% bring that to Fluff's attention and try to force him into wearing a dress. But I do think for some reason that the dress part was omitted from the bet. But he has been leveling a witch doctor since he lost the bet. He ripped on it once. The bet was that you have to level a witch doctor in hardcore, all the way from 1 to 70 solo in hard or greater difficulty. So, and if you die, you have to start over. You have to complete the journey from 1 to 70 without dying. So that was the bet. And so he's doing that now. The next question, Alanza here says, any hint on D4 release from a reliable source? I know nothing. No, I don't have any reliable source, unfortunately, for a release date. I'm just guessing like everybody else. I can't imagine anybody has a reliable release date because I don't think the game's far enough along in development. Like I talked to some of the D4 devs and at BlizzCon, and I actually got to go to Blizzard campus Monday and do a tour of the campus. And like the game is just not that far along. I mean, it's far along. They have the engine developed and they're working on stuff, but it's not anywhere close to a release. So I would say summer of 21. So about as good a guess as you're going to get right now. Sketchboy says, what's your thought on a Death Knight Shadow Knight instead of a Pally since the light is gone? I mean, that'd be badass. I would love it. I would absolutely love it. That'd be a new class we've never played in Diablo. It opens up the door for some potential dark magic and some cool things that we could do. You know, I would be all about that, man. I would play the crap out of it. So a Death Knight, Shadow Knight, whatever they wanted to call it, would be my number one request for a class. If somebody was like, what class do you want in D4? That would be what I would pick. So that would be badass. I would love it. Absolutely love it. If you guys want to submit questions, we're going to do this for either until we run out of questions or for another 30 minutes. So I got about 30 minutes scheduled for this Q&A. So exclamation point question, space, and then type your question and I'll throw it in the queue. We got, let's see. Next question comes from Demonic Grizz. He says, do you think the lack of density? Do you think the lack of density? I'm not sure exactly what you're trying to say there. Is something we need to be concerned about. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to, Demonic. So if you're still in chat, you can expand your question a little bit. But I'll just address the things that I'm concerned about with D4 right now. Like from the demo, the things that I'm like, man, I really wanted to see something different than this. The only things that really jumped out to me was the skills looked very density. Yeah, the skills looked very similar-ish to Diablo 3. A lot of them. Like an example is like Sorceress had a teleport ability. Like, okay, we already had that. Barb had Whirlwind. Okay, those are staples. We're like expecting those to be in. Barb had a skill that was very similar to Seismic Slam. The Wizard's Fireball was pretty much just like Fireball. Frostbolt was like Frostbolt. Like there were so many base skills that were so similar to things we've had in the past. And I don't expect the entire game to be brand new, but let's say 90% of the skills are recycled. If that's the case, like that would bother me a little bit. Like I hope we get things that look different. As far as density, I don't think density is an issue. So you got to get the mindset that we have of Diablo 3 right now out of your head. Like, so when we do a greater rift in Diablo 3, density is important because we're trying to get the Rift Guardian to spawn in a specific amount of time. We're trying to beat a timer in a greater rift. And so in order to get those things consistent enough, the developers are like, okay, XYZ density has to be present in order for this rift to be completed in time. So when we do dungeons in Diablo 4, it's not a race. Like the dungeon objective could be to clear all the enemies. It could be to go clear the pylons that are in there. It could be to cleanse a cursed chest. And I'm just making shit up. I don't know what it could be. It could be to go kill the monster at the end of the dungeon. There's so many things that they can do with these dungeons, and especially with the key modifiers, that as a Diablo 3 community or player base, we have to break the thought process of I need density in order to complete this activity, because that's not the case in Diablo 4. So so there's a lot of things that they can do. So no, density doesn't bother me. I think difficulty of the content obviously is hopefully going to be scalable. With it being an MMO open world, it would make me think that the difficulty is going to be shared by the entire world around you, unless they scale it per player, which would be kind of odd. So difficulty is a little bit of a concern, maybe. The demo felt really easy, but it's supposed to. It's a demo. Demos are always supposed to be easy because you got a lot of people that have never played Diablo in their life going to BlizzCon, playing it for the first time, and you just don't want them to get shit on. If they die the whole time, it wouldn't be fun. It wouldn't be a good experience. They're going to talk trash in the game, etc. So, but we'll see how that plays out. It could be good. The next question. Questions are flipping kind of slow. I'm not sure what's going on with that. As Lanza here says, Diablo Immortal release dates. I don't think we have a set release date. I want to say that I heard rumors, and these are just rumors. I don't know if it's true. I heard rumors that it's going to be like 6 months from now. So maybe spring of 2020. But I don't know. There are definitely still some things. So like there are reports out there that Diablo Immortal's finished and blah, blah, blah. And that's not the case. I talked to some of the Diablo Immortal developers, and a lot of the game is finished, but they're still working on some UI things and some other things that they're trying to get ironed out and get perfect. And they're still tweaking the game. And they're really, really putting a lot of effort into Diablo Immortal to try to make it like the best possible game that they can make it. And I did play Diablo Immortal at BlizzCon for the second time now, and I played it on a tablet. And I must say that, man, I really, really enjoyed playing it on a tablet more than a mobile phone. That being said, the mobile phone has these little controllers you can get that make it look like a Switch, and it puts joystick and keyboard on it. And if Diablo Immortal supports that, I would probably buy one for my phone because it looks really, really sick. But Diablo Immortal played amazing. It played great. It played really good. I was actually impressed with the game, and I know like I'm gonna get a lot of hate for saying this, and that's okay. Like I really feel like people need to play Diablo Immortal before they judge it. I think it's probably going to be hands down one of the best mobile games ever made when it comes out, and it could be something that, although it's not going to replace console gaming, it's not going to replace PC gaming for me, I think it would be something that I would enjoy. So Diablo Immortal was great. I'm actually looking forward to it coming out. Hopefully they get some alphas and betas going at some point, and I maybe get to play it. It'd be fun to show it off to you guys. So I'm gonna try really hard when they get close enough to release a beta to try to be like, guys, you got to let me stream it. I would love to stream it for you guys. So we'll see how it goes. Again, to submit your question, ! Question, drop your question. You see people in chat doing it right now. Just like that. Do it. And just like that. The next question's from Carcass. Carcass says, did Blizzard headquarters have a suggestion box? And what do you wish you would have suggested that they implemented? So their headquarters, I don't think had I don't know. Their headquarters was so big, man. It was like Fort Knox getting in that bitch too. So I'll tell you guys a little bit about the tour I took at Blizzard headquarters. So I drove down, And I got a tour from some of the D3 guys. They took me around, and some of the D4 guys, and I think, yeah, just D3 and D4 guys. So there was a nice mix of people there. And I drove to the campus, and they had security guards there. And my Uber driver that I took actually took us into the back entrance. And the security guard was like, he was not fucking around. He was like, you got to go to the front, go out this way. And he was like super stern. And I guess you got to be, you know, but this guy was like super stern. And so we're like, okay, yes, sir. We're leaving, dude. And so we drove around to the front, and he got dropped off, and there was like, 3 security guards there, and they're like, what, who are you visiting? Why are you here? Blah, blah, blah. And got a pass. So I finally got in. I had to go, jump through the hoops and got in the campus. And it was super cool, man. It was really big. It was bigger than I thought it would be. I expected it to be big, but I didn't expect it to be that size that it was. It was like a university campus, like a small university campus, I guess. Because they had buildings set up all over the place. There was like a cafeteria and like a little library and, some quiet areas. And the buildings, I guess, were sectioned off based on like what game you were working on. And it was pretty cool, man. It was really cool to see. And they had statues of like all the stuff everywhere. So like they had an Illidan statue, which is like my personal favorite because I think Illidan is the shit. They had a Tyrael statue that was super baller. It lit up. Lilith's statue has been taken back, I think now. It wasn't there when I was there. They were still transporting it, but that's set up. But the thing was, they had all these statues and all these cool things and histories, and it was really awesome. So as far as the suggestion box for the actual campus, man, I don't really, I mean, I would have liked to have seen more of the development areas that were off limits, but I don't, that's like an outlandish request. The campus itself was pretty badass. They had a Starbucks on campus. They had restaurants on campus specifically, just for the Blizzard employees and the visitors and stuff. And they had a Starbucks there, and the Starbucks had a secret menu of like Blizzard only drinks. And so they had a list of things. And one of the special drinks was called the Kanai Cube. And so as a Diablo player, I'm like, I got to get the Kanai Cube, right? So I tried it. It was delicious, man. It was delicious. So, it was good. Yeah. So chat just commented that in this footage, the person is spamming the dodge button. That's an interesting topic because I feel like the dodge button should have a cooldown on it. There's no cooldown on it right now. And I feel like it should definitely have a 5 to 10 second cooldown, maybe at least a 5-second cooldown. So, I agree. I agree. That wasn't me doing that. That was somebody else. So the next question, Lanza here asks again, D4 PoE and Lost Ark, pick only one. Well, D4, man, that's not even a question. You should have left D4 off that and said pick PoE or Lost Ark. If I had to pick between PoE or Lost Ark, unpopular opinion, I think I would pick Lost Ark. I played PoE and I played Lost Ark. And I think Lost Ark made me want to come back more than PoE did because the combat in Lost Ark felt really fun and fluid, but I need to give it more time before I make that decision. But Diablo 4 for sure, man. Like Diablo 4 is the shit. Like it's going to be good. It's Diablo. I mean, what else can I say? It's Diablo. It was fun. I want the beta. I want beta access right now. I want to play it again. So, again, we're going to do this until we run out of questions. We got about 20 minutes-ish left in the Q&A section. So submit your questions if you have any. As soon as we run out of questions, we'll call it there or whenever, we reach 11 p.m. Is 5 classes too few? Gloomgill says, is 5 classes too few? I kind of felt that at first. Yeah. I think it's because we had the 7 classes in D3. At least we do now with the expansion. And I feel like we're going to be missing something, I think we're gonna get class expansions in Diablo 4, so eventually it won't be an issue. For the launch, is 5 too few? Like, nah, man, we'll be fine. We'll have classes to pick from as long as they cover all the niches. Like, if we get Necro, we'll have pets covered. Barb's gonna cover your melee, you know, warrior tank class. You're gonna have Sorceress is gonna cover your wizard, range caster, glass cannon class. Druid's gonna cover Druid. They could even make a range class if they chose to go that route with some skills and abilities, maybe. But it's gonna be your melee smashing class again, probably. So then you got one more spot left open, right? So what do we want? We probably need another range class. We probably need one that's not magic based. So like Hunter, Amazon, Demon Hunter, those all kind of fall in the same category. I would feel like that's probably the most logical choice would be Amazon and Necro for the two classes. Since you already got Druid that's going to be melee heavy and you already got Barb that's going to be melee heavy, it feels like that makes the most sense. If you put Paladin in, then you're going to have 3 melee classes. And then, you know, let's say you did Paladin and Amazon, you're going to have 2 range and 3 melee. I don't know, man. It's going to be rough to pick. I think no matter what they do, I'll be happy because Druid was fun. I'll main a Druid. If the classes, the game launched with just 3 classes, I would just main Druid and I'd be happy. So I think it'll be fun. And then, like I said, expansion classes are definitely going to be a thing. I don't see how they couldn't be. I don't see how they couldn't be. Fistmaster 5000, what up, dude? Says, what do you think about GDG PUA Confidence? You think Diablo will be paying close attention to ExileCon? Yeah, man. I think that GDG is super confident. So it makes me excited. Like, you know, we've seen games be confident and misplace their confidence before. Like in my example for that, Fistmaster is going to hit close to home for you. I feel like Borderlands 3 was, I felt like they felt like Borderlands 3 was going to be like the best shit since sliced bread. And I don't necessarily think that Borderlands 3 was bad, but I don't think it was as good as they were hyping it up to be. I think GGG is doing a really good job of marketing right now, you know? So I'm excited for ExileCon. It's in like 2 weeks from now, I think, maybe even less than that now. And I'm excited to see what they have. I think if they don't have a graphical update, if they don't completely gut PoE and like make it look super beautiful, maybe a whole new engine altogether, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Once D4 comes out, man, they're gonna they gotta be able to compete with the graphics. And if they don't, it's gonna be sick. It's gonna be, you know, not good. But these companies gotta hype themselves up, man. They have to. That's kind of the game, man. It's marketing at this point. Social media is marketing, and they know if they talk shit, people are gonna listen and post it and repost it and tweet about it and get impressions. It's all about impressions, man. They want people to read their stuff and get hyped for their game. And if they tweet at Diablo, because, you know, Diablo's got 1 million followers on Twitter, right? So I don't know what GGG has or what Path of Exile's Twitter account has, but Diablo's at like 800K or something, close to 1 million. And it's like if they at Diablo and can get some notoriety from that, then it's a good marketing move. But I really feel like they do have something up their sleeves, so I'm excited for it. We'll see. We're going to find out really soon, right? Zombie Wolf says, did you wear a community shirt at BlizzCon? I did, man. Yeah, dude. I wore the crap out of it. Here, I'll show you even. I think I wore it the first day, the most important day. I'll pull a picture up and let you see. I got a picture with me and Bloodshed and Fluff right before they announced D4. Nevamo dropping 13 months of support, man. Thank you, dude. I appreciate it. So here's a picture right here. You can see I got the community shirt on, man. It's the same one I got on right now. Actually, this is a different shirt. I have 2 of them, but the same thing. I just have 2 shirts. So yeah, buddy. That's me, Fluff, and Bloodshed though, chilling. That was literally minutes before the announcement. So Jay Murder's in the background stalking me out. It was pretty funny. Exclamation point merch if you guys want to get your hands on some cool Some cool Pchild merch. All right, the next one. We got 4 questions left. We got about 13 minutes, so we'll see. We'll see if we can get through these, if we can get some more. So if you have a question, you better submit it quick. Maester Magus says, did anyone ask you what the Pchild 1.5 meant on my shirt? Yeah, I did actually. So Friday I wore the community shirt. Saturday I wore my 1.5 shirt. And I had to tell the story of the 1.5 a whole bunch of times. I actually told that story probably 3 or 4 different times to various people. A lot of the D3 team, like the devs from the D3 team, asked me what it meant. And so I explained it to them. They thought it was funny, luckily. But yeah, if you guys don't know the story of 1.5, stick around after the Q&A. I'll tell the story if you're interested and you want to hear about it. So I'm not going to tell it in this thing, but I'll tell you where it came from and what it means. The next question comes from Tim. Tim says, is there any music in D4? Yes, 100%. You remember the music of D1 and D2 kind of making the atmosphere that much better. D3 didn't have that. Yeah, the music in D4 was really good. It felt like it definitely paid homage to D2. I don't remember D1 at all. But it was good. I liked it. I thought it was, Blizzard. So, for the record, I think Blizzard's cinematic team is like Hollywood level, probably fucking better than Hollywood. Like Blizzard's cinematic and arts teams and sound team and like everything, man, they kill it. They always kill it. They always step up. So I feel like we don't have to worry about the visuals of the game. The game looks beautiful. We're not going to have to worry about sounds. The sound effects were amazing. We're not going to have to worry about music. The music was amazing. It definitely felt eerie and like, oh shit, it felt epic, right? I think the only things that we're going to have to worry about or be concerned about with D4 is the systems. How good are the systems? How good is the loot chase? How good is the investment? Like investment makes all the difference in almost every game. You're spending your time in the game. There's a million things in the world that you could be spending your time doing, and you're choosing to play the game. How is that investment of your time and your life rewarded? I think that's what matters. So we'll see how the investment plays out, man. But so far it looks promising, We got 2 questions left, guys. 2 more. You better submit one if you want to get one in. I'm going to turn it off soon. The next question comes from Zombie Wolf. Zombie Wolf says, did you reach your dream of a more 3D map, non-linear, come true? Yeah, man, I really did. So here's an example. Right now on the screen, you're seeing this gameplay footage. Do you see the screen comes towards us and it actually elevates? And you see as he goes away, how he's actually walking up a hill. Like that does not exist in almost any ARPG. And this is one of the complaints that I've been talking about on the podcast and in my stream forever and ever and ever is verticality. There's never any verticality in ARPGs. They're always like these flat levels that are super plain. And like these dungeons had hills, they had valleys, they had little pools that collected water and blood. And if you look on the ground here for an example, there's like, I'm not sure if this happens in this zone. Yeah. So do you see here? I'm going to pause this video. Okay. Right here where I'm circling with the mouse, you guys can see this little pool of blood, this little crater. These things actually collect blood. Like if they're empty, like this one up here at the top is that might be empty. It's kind of hard to see. It's fuzzy. But these little craters in the ground, these cracks in the ground, if you kill guys on top of them, the blood from the guy you killed will literally pool up inside of those craters. Like the attention to detail is just phenomenal. It's ridiculous. But the linear, the verticality they added to the maps, I think really makes it feel good. Especially notice that in the outside terrain. So when you're in the world area questing and running around, I feel like the verticality in the hills and the flowiness were super easy to see. And it was amazing, man. That's like one of the biggest visual changes that I think they could have made to the game to make it feel more realistic and awesome. So The next question we have comes from FreakDub. FreakDub says, what would you like D4 to borrow from other games? I really like the combat in Lost Ark, man. I really, really do. And I wish that more people had an opportunity to play it so I could get more people's opinions. The only person that I really know that's played Lost Ark is Fluff. And so Fluff and I love the combat. So I would like to get other people's opinions, preferably somebody who doesn't like the combat as much, and to see why they don't like it. But Lost Ark's combat feels really, really fluid, and I think it chains abilities together really well. And it punishes you if you misplay abilities. So that's something that I would like to see them dabble in a little bit more, is the more of the combat style from Lost Ark. As far as other things, I would like them to steal some of the crafting and depth that PoE has, which is kind of over my head. I don't even understand crafting to that extent, but I definitely want some more complexity with crafting in this game. And I think that they realize that. I think that they're going to work on that. I think it'll be like, you know, we haven't seen what their systems are yet, so I'm not complaining about it because we don't even know what it is. But yeah, I think they stole the other things that I wanted, man. I wanted an open world MMO style game. They did that. Like, I've been saying that for a long time. And even to, you know, the people on YouTube comments from the podcasts and even in my own chat saying that they don't want it to be like World of Warcraft, and that I'm a World of Warcraft fan and it would suck if it was online and shared open world and stuff. And I think it's fucking amazing. I'm so happy they did that. I think it's phenomenal. I think it's going to make people like have the ability to make friends and find people to play with. So I think that's really awesome. And then I don't know, man. I think that they checked off so many boxes that, as far as like borrowing other things, I think the only thing really left is the depth and then the combat. Combat felt really good though, so if they don't change combat, I'm not going to be upset. I just really liked Lost Ark style, so I hope that they at least examine it, and I hope people on their team play Lost Ark and they're like, oh, this is kind of cool, you know, and maybe get some ideas from that. So again, guys, we got 5 minutes. I'm going to let you guys submit questions. I got 2 questions in the queue. So if you want to submit a question, !question space, type your question out. We got time for probably 3 or 4 more, and then that'll be it. The next question comes from Sketchboy. He says, mac and cheese or pizza? I'm a pizza fan, man. I love mac and cheese too, but I'm a diehard pizza fan. I had pizza tonight for dinner. I eat pizza weekly. I would say probably every week of my life I eat pizza. I love pizza. So, you know, you can do cool stuff with mac and cheese. Like, you can throw things in it. Like, hamburger mac and cheese is really good. Just straight up mac and cheese is good, but thanks for making me hungry, but I love pizza. Pizza fan. I believe this is the last question, unless somebody throws one in pretty quick. Maester Magus says, instead of Amazon, what if they added a ranged combat to Barb to make it different than D3? I guess you could. I mean, conceptually and historically, Barb has always been a melee character. So I think that would be a disservice to all the loyal Barb fans out there. Just make a new class. You know, Barb has the ability to equip 4 legendary weapons at the same time. You know, no other class in Diablo history has had the ability to do that. So I don't know how the legendary effects are going to work. Let's just use Diablo 3 as an example, though. What if your Barb could equip like Ingeom, Furnace, and then like Bokathos weapons, for example? 4 different weapons at the same time. I don't know how it's going to work, how it's going to play out, but the potential for some crazy things for Barb is going to be there. So maybe they could put some range weapons in that slot. I don't know. I think they should just leave range as a different class, you know? So, you know, I mean, there's definitely room for them to make specific builds that, you know, like, you could maybe do, like, you know, like an example, like Boulder Toss has a little range to it. So maybe you have some throwing build, or maybe Seismic Slam can extend across the whole map, or I don't know, You know, there's potentials there that I haven't even thought about, but maybe you could do it. Noobtorian says, what key thing separates casuals from higher tier players to me in D3? Can you see that being the same in D4? There's a lot, man. So a casual player is somebody who really doesn't care too much about the meta, about whatever the most efficient means available. They just want to log in, play the game, log out, have a good time. I think what starts separating people from casuals into, like, you know, hardcore professionals or extremely talented players is A, the amount of time they invest in the game, and B, like how much they really break down and learn the mechanics of the game and the mechanics of their class. Like just knowing how different damage modifiers stack or how different skills interact with other skills. Those things are what really start to differentiate the top tier players from the lower tier players. And then just grinding and playing and playing and playing. You know, most of your top 10 leaderboard players every season, they probably have 10, 20,000 hours in the game. You know, casual player can't even do that because by the term casual, they're not going to have that much time. So it just depends, you know. I would like to see whatever the end game is in D4 and whatever separates the pro players from the casual players. I hope that botting isn't a factor in it. I think for me personally, any desire that I would have to try to compete in Diablo 3 is completely erased with bots. Like I have no desire to want to try to compete with people who are botting, who bought keys, who bought Paragon, who bought the equipment they have. Like you're at such a disadvantage that not only is the time a factor, but it's the cheating that's a factor too. So, and I actually talked with some of the devs about that. That was something that I didn't want to bring up in the Q&A because I didn't want to bring any negativity into what was an awesome announcement. So I didn't ask the question, but I did speak to one of the devs one-on-one. I got some one-on-one time, and I specifically asked, I said, botting is rampant in Diablo 2 and Diablo 3. It's just fucking crazy, right? What methods are you guys taking to try to prevent that from happening in Diablo 4? Are you guys going to like secure the game down with, you know, new means, new methods? What are you guys going to do? And his answer was pretty cool, man. His answer was, yeah, of course we've developed new technology, et cetera, just like you would expect. Like, you know, it's a new game engine. There's new anti-cheat measures that we have, blah, blah, blah. But he said it's also a core philosophy design that goes into making the game play that way. So, and I'm going to explain what he meant to you guys. This is not word for word what he said. This is just me explaining like what he meant, because I don't actually remember word for word what he said. But the basic premise was that Diablo 3 was designed with Paragon systems that have infinite gain ability. As long as you're playing the game, you're making progress towards your Paragon, and that's something that encourages botting. Getting keystones to fish rifts is a system that encourages botting. You can bot the keystones. You can also bot better rolls and equipment. So some of those things are inherent to any game. Like, you know, Diablo 4 is going to have random rolls on gear. Well, then botting would encourage you to get more gear, and that might work out. But if there wasn't a Paragon system, then how inclined are you going to be to bot? If there's not a greater rift fishing system for a leaderboard, how inclined are you going to be to bot? So is your account worth jeopardizing over the rewards you're going to get from botting? And if they can find ways to make the rewards good enough in game that are something that you're not going to want to bot, but something you're actually going to want to play, then, you know, maybe that's it. So it's definitely something that they're aware of, and I hope that in the future it's not as big an issue. So, you know, hopefully D4's ladder system or competitive scene, and PvP could end up being the competitive scene, right? PvP could end up being what keeps at least myself motivated to keep playing Diablo and keep grinding different builds and keep grinding different gear and things like that, is just to go kill people. You know, that could be it. So I think that might be it, man. Let me see. Do we have any more questions? I think that's it, man. So that was the last question. Thanks, guys, for coming to the Q&A and hanging out and answering your questions. I had a great time. I hope this, gave you guys some insight on Diablo 4 and the future of the franchise and things like that. So I will see you guys next time for the next Q&A.